This is TradeFlow News, bringing you relevant news and insights from around the world. TradeFlow News, enabling trade for SMEs and economies worldwide.
These are some of the key topics that we will be looking into in today's program.
First, let's take a look at the overnight headlines which are impacting the commodity markets. U.S. oil and gas companies on Friday cut more than 1.6 million barrels of oil production as a major storm churned toward oil fields that provide 17% of the nation's oil production. Production cutbacks ahead of Hurricane Ida exceed those during 2005's devastating Katrina. Ida barreled into Cuba on Friday after intensifying into a hurricane with 85 mph, 130 km/h, winds, according to the National Hurricane Center, NHC. It could become an extremely dangerous major hurricane and threaten the U.S. Gulf Coast, catastrophic wind damage, the NHC said. Top Gulf of Mexico oil producer Royal Dutch Shell plc said it suspended production at 7 offshore platforms and 2 processing plants onshore. BP plc BP.L stopped work at 4 platforms. Both said they were evacuating offshore workers.
Mexico expects an average price of $60 per barrel for its crude oil exports, as well as an average crude production of 1.9 million barrels per day, BPD, for 2022, as state-owned Pemex struggles to increase output, a government source told Reuters. The preliminary forecasts are being used by the Finance Ministry to calculate part of the income for next year's fiscal budget, which should be delivered to Congress no later than September 8. The forecasts may be tweaked by lawmakers. The source, who is not authorized to speak on the matter and requested anonymity, added that the preliminary forecast also projects next year's crude oil exports at 1.1 million barrels of oil per day.
Moving on to the top news in the energy sector.
Russian offline primary oil refining capacity was revised down in September by 2% from the previous plan to 3.297 million tons, according to Refinery data and Reuters calculations. The revision follows adjustments of maintenance schedules by some refineries. The offline capacity in August was revised up by 8.9% from the previous plan to 2.303 million tons, according to the data and Reuters calculation.
Russian natural gas producers and power companies have taken measures to avoid emptying the country's strategic gas inventories, the Energy Ministry said on Friday, as higher power demand caused by hot weather strained supplies. For Russian gas giant Gazprom, a recovery in demand, as the impact of pandemic movement restrictions eases and gas prices rebound, has increased its revenues. Its gas exports outside the former Soviet Union from January 1 to August 15 had increased 21.5% year-on-year to 123 billion cubic meters.
Next, we have the top news in metal markets.
China's state planner, the National Development and Reform Commission, NDRC, on Friday said it would encourage aluminium smelters in the country to increase their use of non-hydropower forms of renewable energy, such as wind and solar power. In a document on electricity pricing for aluminium smelting, a highly energy-intensive process, the NDRC also said it was strictly forbidden for regions to offer preferential power pricing policies to the primary aluminium sector, and they should adhere to national policy. Any such regional policies already in place should be cancelled immediately, said the document, whose measures are to be implemented from January 1, 2022.
Democratic Republic of Congo's government is reviewing its $6 billion infrastructure for minerals deal with Chinese investors as part of a broader examination of mining contracts, Finance Minister Nicolas Kazadi told Reuters. President Felix Tshisekedi said in May that some mining contracts could be reviewed because of concerns they are not sufficiently benefiting Congo, which is the world's largest producer of cobalt and Africa's leading miner of copper. His government announced this month it had formed a commission to reassess the reserves and resources at China Molybdenum's massive Tanka Fungarum copper and cobalt mine in order to fairly lay claim to its rights. We will now look at the top news in the agricultural sector. Russian agriculture consultancy Sovecon said on Friday it had cut its forecast for Russia's 2021-22 wheat exports by 3.2 million tons to 33.9 million tons due to a lower crop, slow pace of exports and tough competition with other suppliers. Such an amount would be lowest wheat exports from Russia, the world's largest exporter of the grain, since the 2016-17 marketing season when it supplied 27.8 million tons, Sovecon said in a note. The Moscow-based consultancy currently expects Russia's 2021 wheat crop at 76.2 million tons, down from 85.9 million tons in 2020, due to a smaller winter wheat area and lower spring wheat yield, which was hit by a hot, dry summer.
That is all for today's news on commodity markets. Stay tuned to TradeFlow News as we continue to provide you with more updates. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter at TradeFlow News, which allows you to watch our program on your mobile device or desktop to receive information from there.